mọ̀ pé mi wá o, ohun tí bàbá ṣe ó jọ mí lójú. Mo wá dúpẹ́, mo mọ̀ pé mi wá o, ìyàtọ̀ pẹ́ ló yẹ bàbá. Mo wá dúpẹ́, mo mọ̀ pé mi wá o, ohun tí bàbá ṣe ó jọ mí lójú o. Mo wá dúpẹ́ o, ìyàtọ̀ pẹ́ ló yẹ bàbá. Ògo yẹ ọ́ o, ọba ayérayé.
I am Dame Dr. Adamito Oluremi Iyun. I was born about 80 years ago on a Friday on the 10th of November 1944 at the Mercy Street Hospital, Lagos. This is Mr. Alfred Awukoya Solani. He retired from the Railway Corporation. A loving daddy who enjoys spoiling me, was very strict. He believes that you cannot have a boyfriend until you are past school start. Very, very loving and enjoys spoiling me. And this is my stepmother, Mrs. Jemima Olabopo Solani ní Soremekun. She is very strict. What she thought would harm me, she can fight tooth and nail to prevent it. I cannot remember too much of my childhood, except that I was a sickly, asthmatic child. And I had to go in and out of hospital. But miraculously, as I grew older, I had fewer asthmatic attacks. And when in 1955, I was sent to a boarding house, Methodist Girls' School, Shagamu. My asthmatic attack stopped. From there, I was in Methodist Girls' School for 2 years, and then I went to Lagos and I attended a day school, Methodist Girls' High School, Yaba. Secondary school was fun. I was now a healthy young girl. And all the things I could not do as a child, I started improving on them. I was the school's games captain. I was in the quartet of Lagos team, and I was also a reserve for the Nigerian relay team. In fact, they wanted me to go and be an athletics coach for Nigeria. But those before me, I didn't see their future. Those I saw in when I was in preparatory class and school start. After some time, I borrow one more. But my principal, Mrs. W.K. Walker, said, Adamito, that's the name she liked. Don't listen to them. Go and do medicine. So I went into medicine. I remember my nickname in the secondary school was Papo. I came out of the school with a grade 1, which was very unusual for a sports girl in the school. When we do invitation relay, and when you are doing invitation relay, people from different schools will come to the thing. Àwọn bíi Ṣẹ́gun Ọ̀ṣọ́bà, so many people. And there I was running. My husband was in King's College. Their favorite school happens to be Queen's College. But àwọn Queen's College yẹn, mo máa pa wọ́n pọ̀ ni. Especially I used to do the corner third leg. And that long leg, something ọ̀sẹ̀mọbọ̀ ni ó máa ń ṣe third leg wọn máa wò báyìí títí. Tọ́lọ́run bá ti mú wọn tí wọ́n bá wà ní bóyá lane 4 tèmi wà ní lane 2, mo máa pa wọ́n pọ̀ ni. When we start running and we're going like that, the whole field will say, papọ̀. Èmi náà dẹ̀ orí mi á gbóná, màá papọ̀. So, and tí wọ́n bá ti ní ìwọ̀n alọ́mọbìnrin yẹn, mo wá o, ṣé wọ́n máa sáré. And at sports meeting, Methodist High School sports meeting, King's College sports meeting, we went there because as young boys, they will want to go for sports meeting, and I will go representing my school. King's College, they don't say, ọmọdé yẹn, and alone, she's too proud. When they greet me, I greet them. That is all. He came for Literary and Debating Society, and he wanted to go to toilet. Kò sí bó ṣe lè point sí, so I had to take him some way, And he made sure after that any sports meeting tó bá lọ, tó bá ti rí pé mo máa sáré, he will make sure pé òun kí mi ṣáá ni. Because we were very young, I didn't think that it was a question of love. But maybe that is why he kept on beating me. I had other flair. Well, as a sportswoman, there are many people who used to greet me. But I remember that he was always greeting me. This is just after school start. I went to church in Lagos, Methodist Church, Ikoyi, just before the bridge to Obalende. I was coming back. But we also now met at the Federal Emergency Science School. He came in for advanced level with the intention of doing medicine. And I also came in with the intention of doing medicine. The hostel we were living in a Federal School of Science, it's like you were going somewhere and midway. So he will leave his house early so that when I come out, when I come out, he will follow me. That John Law class kan náà. It started here nìyẹn. So, tí n bá ti ń bọ̀ ní school, àjọ máa wá ni. Tí n bá ń lọ, á sì mí dé ọ̀dọ̀ tèmi ó dàbọ̀, So I saw him almost every day. He was a very quiet person, and I hated hurting him. When other boys are talking to me, he used to be very hurt. So one day I asked him, "What's your problem? Why should you be hurt when people are talking to me?" Then he said, "You mean you have not noticed?" "Noticed what?" The Iyuns are very quiet, but if there's anything, he had a way of showing his love, you know. And like, there was a day I collapsed at school, and he was one of the very first to come round, and I was very upset about it. What's this? Ṣé kò ríṣẹ́ ṣe ni? But with time, I knew what it meant as I grew older. At the time he was born, it was fashionable for parents to give their children French names. So he was called Ayodele Oluremi Iyun. And my own is Adamito Oluremi Ayodele Solarin, because we have two names common. So we insisted on the third name so that we will know the difference. He took Ayodele Oluremi Montacute. Me, I had Adamito Oluremi. As I grew older, I never liked the name. When I was young, I never liked the name of Adamito. But as I grew older, I knew the implication and started insisting on it. When I was younger, if you ask me, what's your name? I would say Oluremi. But as I knew the meaning, when you ask me for my name, I would say Adamito. He had some friends, and they used to tease him. I mean that your girlfriend, why don't you tell her? Why don't you tell her? He was shy about telling me. And they said, other people will get this girl from you. So one day, somebody said, I remember this one, Shaiko Anandi, classmate, and he tell him the worst is for her to refuse. So he asked me, why do you think I'm always following you? I said, joblessness. He said, it's not joblessness. I like you. There are other people I can follow. I said, why don't you go and follow them? Don't take it like that. I love you. I like to be your friend. I now looked at him. This quiet one. And I gracefully accepted him. We started dating. We were dating when we entered university. I went to do prelim, and he went straight into medicine. When I finished, I had a party at the University of Lagos. I had a birthday party, and this was one of my birthdays at the College of Medicine. 21st birthday. All of them, they are medical students. All of them were doctors. And these were my parents at the birthday. And that's my birthday. This is my older sister, Professor. This is my younger sister, late. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 are late. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 are alive. He is 85. She's going to be 85 in November. This one is going to be 75. See, at the time we were in the medical school, it is Bonfo that we wore. Some of our lecturers will drop something and ask you to pick. So we learned how to pick. That's Dr. Mrs. Ekuwen. This is Mrs. Adewale. I've forgotten Mrs. Wash. This one is. This was our professor of physiology and hall mistress. Professor Mrs. Lilebute. She must be about 90 something. She's still alive. Yeah, it's me. We are talking to our mistress of hall. You think like as if we are talking to our big sister. My 21st birthday picture. I changed. He came over from Ibadan and he brought me a ring. And we're going by the University of Lagos Lagoon. He held my hand and put a ring there. Will you marry me? And I said yes. For us to part at that time, it was very traumatic for us. But we kept on dating. We were phoning. Phones were available in our hostels almost every day. So we made sure that he phones me. We courted from 1963 and got married in 1971. It's as if he never thought I would ever marry him. So he put everything he had into it. I learned tailoring from school and from my mother, and I improved on it as I grew older. So and I sew with what we used to call patterns. And this one, I sewed it with a pattern. I remember that it's a light blue dress, light blue satin. And that was the time we started wearing wig. And when he finished, he did house job in Ibadan at Adeoyo. And I came to do house job at the University College Hospital. And I remember that we had a quarrel and he put his foot down. I looked at him and I am Moburu. How do I describe it? And he came knocking. I refused to open my door. So one of my classmates, a doctor, I am Solarin Smith. And then that one, he saw that. He said, where are you coming from? He said, mo bọ́ ọmọdé yẹn jà ní mo tẹ̀ sọ pé mi ì fẹ́ mọ́. Ìyẹn ní ṣéèdì ń di ẹni ọmọ tó ti ń lé láti secondary school because he went to Methodist high school and I went to Methodist girls high school. Ọmọ tó ti ń lé look tó bá àwọn boys tó fẹ́ fẹ́ àwọn doctors tó senior tán lówó lọ́wọ́ jù ẹ lọ. But then I was still wearing my engagement ring. So I just thought, why should I keep wearing the ring? I took them off. He came back that day and said, what happened to your ring? I said, what happened to my ring? Haven't we called it off? He said, how can I call it off? Yeah, I should remember all his traveling. So we started again. It wasn't usual to have something that long. And then as soon as I finished, we just went to our parents to fix the wedding date. And we got married 3 months after I finished in the medical school. When we were at the Federal School of Science, his younger brother was at King's College. And he told him, I have a girl. And that one was very curious to know who the girl. And then he said, you remember that Papo girl? He said, Papo girl, how did she agree? Anyway, anytime he came to visit him at school, he also will want to greet me. And so it follows that he has to be our best man. Then, because he chose his own brother as his best man, me, I chose my sister as my chief bridesmaid also. This is the reply that my parents sent to the Iyuns after they wrote to ask for my hand in marriage. Ayodele and Ayodele, betrothal identicalities deluxe. Down low. We got married in 1971, but we didn't have our first child until 1973. I have always been a lover of children. I don't mind having a house full. But my husband, coming from a big family, was the first of 6. He wanted only 2. Then after that, we had the second one, 1976. Then he went for a year ahead, a year postgraduate residency in Nottingham. And I went to visit him. I left a 6-month-old baby and I got pregnant again. So I had one in 1976, another one in 1977. Then we thought we had enough and we went on family planning. Then I think something happened and the gynecologist said, well, you'll be on contraceptive for this thing. You are not likely to get pregnant again so easily. Unfortunately, I got pregnant. So I had another child I had one in 76, 77, and then I had one again in 1979. This is my first son, Ayodele Olukayode, Dr. Ayodele Olukayode, a quiet gentleman, just like his father. Olumide, Ayotunde Olumide Iyun. Also, is a little bit more talkative than the father, than the brother, and he was a stubborn child. Since the day I threatened him, he became a gentleman. They say that he's my favorite because I sent all of them to music school, and he was the one who was not willing to learn, and I beat him because of it. And one day he said, "Why are you forcing me? Why must I do what I don't want?" I said, "I have to force you because your life depends on me." This is my first daughter. My first daughter is even doesn't greet people properly. He learned it as he grew up. This one is more like me, but it's still not as talkative as me. When they went to music, she was the best. Could play piano, and this one is also a singer. The two of them are the same blood group. These ones, their father's blood group. These ones are my own my own blood group. All of them, they are wonderful children. I think one day my husband said that we should take a family photograph, that his son was leaving home. I think maybe Kayode was going to secondary school. So he insisted that we should take a family photograph, and we did. This is Dr. Ayodele Olukayode Iyun. This is Olumide Iyun. This is Dr. Mrs. Ayotokunbo Olosunde. This is Dr. Iyun, my husband. This is me. And this is Oluwadurotimi Iyun. This one was the 6 months when I went to see the father who didn't want more children. He was satisfied with the 2. But even before she was born, he dreamt that he had big eyeballs like him. After husbandship, I went into the Department of Anesthesia, where I did the diploma in anesthesia. At that time, you don't usually have doctors from Lagos coming to work at USAID. Bọ̀ ní Ìbàdàn, kí ni so? But because he was there, I came. And one thing I was good at in the medical school was setting drips. Ibadan students at that time, they don't involve them. It is when they finish as doctors that they learn. But Lagos, you know that when you're doing your pediatrics, Olukoye Ransom Kuti made sure that we had charts. If you must do something like 20 intravenous infusion for children. And there's no way you will do 20 intravenous infusion for children that you will not know how to do it. So when I came, I was very good because I had passed through Olukoye Ransom Kuti. They easily gave me a job. I spent about 6 years in usage. Then I transferred to Oyo State. They were looking for anesthetists, and we were the very first anesthetists to be taken in. And I worked there as a consultant anesthetist at Oyo State Hospital Management Board. I was one of the youngest consultants they had. I knew my ropes. I was a good anesthetist. So I didn't allow any boss to bully me. My immediate boss, his firstborn was my age. He was the surgeon. And we became very good friends. Baba Adeyemo. I used to call him Baba Adeyemo. He was the surgeon, And I had very good relationship with him. When he retired, I was the next in line to him. Baba, old enough to be my father. And me, I was no nonsense. When I quarrel with you, I quarrel so many times so that we can re-quarrel. I don't quarrel with you and then we drag it on. If I quarrel with you now and we haven't ended that quarrel, when will we start another quarrel? I did my job. If you quarrel with me, I quarrel with you. If you are rude to me, I took it up officially. But I had a pleasant time with my bosses, but I was too far away from them in age. There are some laxities at work which I didn't tolerate. And I gave my advice to government as I felt fit. Like in the whole state, we were 4 anesthetists, which was not enough to service Ibadan, your state. So we started this anesthetic training, and things got better. And because of that, wherever they have the quality, put her there. I had a brush with a military administrator who was in Ibadan. I don't take nonsense. So they transferred me to Oyo. And I was in Oyo for 3 months. Because before the Oyo people started making knives. All those things that were wrong in Oyo, because people wanted to be covered up, they could not put it right. Anybody, I did my work. I've always been like that, even from secondary school. Ibi tí mò ń lọ ni mò ń face. And I retired in 2004. I was not prepared for retirement. I happened to be in a very rare specialty, but I decided I wasn't going to do any private practice. Then the Lord reminded me that I should start my poultry. Just a year before I retired, I was coming back from the hospital one day and I found some 12 chicken that they wanted to sell. I bought them and I started rearing them. And from that time, I was putting down some money and I had over 1,000 birds. So I started doing poultry. The Lord is very merciful. Like about 2 months after I finished, He started paying my pension. And I didn't miss it. It was the same as what I was getting. So I didn't feel it. And that's why I say that one job is not adequate for a person. You must look for what if you have a blockage in one job, what will you go to? The Lord gave you arms, gave you legs. Iṣẹ́ tí apá ń ṣe ó yàtọ̀ sí iṣẹ́ tí ẹsẹ̀ ń ṣe. That is how it is. Sometimes I feel that I'm in a wrong place as a doctor. Like for example, I like fashion. If you buy this type of shoe, I want to buy a bag that goes with it. I want to buy a head tie that goes with it, and I want to buy a necklace that goes with it. That is me. About 5 years ago, when I asked them to help me stone my clothes, and they don't stone it well, I think I can do it myself. I sit down on this between the stoning. Like this one now. I made is an These are things I can make myself. So I stayed with them, teach me how to make these things. And they taught me how to end and how to. So since that time, I've been doing all types of beads that I like. I'm very quick at learning how to make beads. And I like good finishing. So I teach them how to finish well. So any method. Then I added my own. There are some. I go and buy some. Now this one, this so-called pendant, I made it myself. You see the same making. This one is called the Abuja. This one is nicknamed Abuja. Now education. matter in some of these things. Like, look at this one now. It is a pendant. Eh? A pendant that I just added this one. You won't see it on anybody because unless the person buys this my pendant. This one now, I bought a brooch and then I made something like this. So they be asking you, where did you find this one? But I bought I can't remember whether it's earring and brooch. So when I wear it now, it is unique. You won't have anybody wearing something similar. I have applied my education. I believe that if I need something and the Lord does not provide it, then it means I don't need it. Me and my husband spent 4 years trying to save 4,000 to do the decking. We didn't have. One day, somebody gave me rice at 32 naira per bag, while rice was selling for 80 naira. So I got the paper and one woman, our time need 4,000 ọdún mẹ́rin. One woman said, sell that paper to me at 32 naira per bag. I said no, 40 naira per bag. I gave her the paper and I sold and she gave me 40,000. That 40,000, we used it to complete that house and we started this one. We almost finished this one. Because of that, I knew that the Lord has been very faithful. When my husband died, I didn't want to depend on anybody. And one day, we did what you call adjust, and I got my 100,000. 10 of us, 100,000. Me, I wanted to go to Gbagi. My husband had now died. All my clothes were getting shabby. I had not bought, you know women, sha. We had not bought new clothes for some time. I wanted to go to Gbagi. The Lord said, don't go to Gbagi. Today is Apomu Day. Go to Apomu and buy palm oil. Because I had 100,000 with me, I bought palm oil, 50,000 at 300 naira per keg. 5 months later, somebody came and said, do you have palm oil? I said yes. And she bought all my palm oil at 3,000 and I had 500,000 at that time. 500,000 at that time is a lot of money. From that time, I knew that if I want to do something, the Lord knew why He provided that money. The clothes I wanted to buy, I saw that when I didn't do His will, I didn't like the outcome. I was made a knight of John Wesley. You are made a knight if you have contributed a lot to the Methodist Church. I was the conference medical advisor. So and I was the first one to serve 2 terms. Once I met the Lord, He took me on a journey. My children too found the Lord. And they found out that it's only God that you can rely on. You see, the prayer I've asked for God to help me lead my children past fear. Olúwa jẹ́ kí n sì wọ́n kọjá bí ẹrù. He has answered that. It does not mean I'm going to die now, but he has granted my wish. So I'm a happy person. My nickname is Agbara Babaka. There's no trouble that is coming that my father cannot handle. When I got married, my asthma returned. And after my husband died, I was having a very bad time. And I asked the Lord, what happened, my papa? What happened? Let me, my husband died. Let me follow him now. Me, I don't like this asthma. And Papa God laughed at me. He said, you are a very selfish woman. That, what has these children done for you? That you can't look after them. I said sorry. That day, I went looking for, I used to have an inhaler. There was no inhaler in Ibadan. Anyway, I took one cough mixture and I slept. Since that day, for over 30 years, I've not had an asthmatic attack. So the Lord that answers such prayers, can I afford to leave him? I have not told you about my accidents, 2 accidents I had. When I was admitted into the secondary school, I don't know how much you know of Lagos. My mother said we should go and buy garri at Ebute. We took ricket from Ebute Meta, and the ricket went and hit a rock around the door. But for God, we all would have perished in the lagoon. But somehow, when you hit the rock, we jumped on the rock. And they used the rickety boat, they used to call it ricket, to carry us to Edo. And we still went and bought the garri to take back to our mother. My second accident, a friend of mine, I was going from Lagos to Ibadan to come and see my boyfriend. And I slept at Ogunpa, When I woke up, I was in hospital. In that accident, 67 people lost their lives. I was one of the few survivors. As they were putting me down in Adeoyo, Moji, and there was my boyfriend, because the house officer there recognized my boyfriend and called him. He was the one I had just left. Is that one my own doing? Then a very close friend of mine was getting married. I decided I was going to attend her wedding. She asked me if I would be her chief bridesmaid. I said no, because I felt that I would not be at the wedding. When I was coming, we were involved in an accident. I didn't make the wedding. Ọlọ́run náà ló ṣáà ń tọ́jú mi, àbí? I didn't have any thought at the time I was having it. I've just been saved. But looking back, oore ọ̀fẹ́ ni. That is what I say. Recently, my electrician was changing a bulb. I was trying to water one plant there, and I fell. I broke my hand. Àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́? So, ẹnìjọ́ mẹ́ta yìí, I was my electrician was changing a bulb, and he tripped. I was next. Mo kàn bára mi ńlẹ̀ ni. As I got down, I said, Olúwa, gbà mí. when I was flying in the air before and I landed. Me in scratch. It was as if the Lord put an angel there on who I fell, and I now stood up. Oluwa Seun. From not thinking I will make 1 month and being 80, Olúwa náà ló lè ṣe. Kò sí ẹni tọ́lọ́run ò ṣe fún, ó pọ̀ ju síbìkan lòkan lọ ni bí mi ṣe rí ni.